What's good? It's your boy the Fader, back at y'all again with another video. And today we giving a nice low ball fade on the one and only Justin Morrow, professional soccer player. Check him out, check his highlights out. This is a true veteran we talking about, getting a haircut by the truest of veterans in the game, yours truly, myself. So as you can see, we starting off just cutting down the top of the hair, getting everything nice and neat, getting our canvas ready for the haircut. Now we're gonna make the low bald line. So you're gonna start low, make everything clean, and just make sure that everything stays neat on every level so that it's easy for the eyes to recognize the lines and where you're cutting. Okay, that's very important. Staying focused and always being prepared and taking the right steps for success. So as you can see, that's exactly what I'm doing. That's the wall customized magic clips with the gold blade on it. You know what I'm saying? In the future video, I'm gonna show y'all how to even set the clippers so that they cut right. You can actually zero gap your clippers, not just your trimmers. So that's another nugget of information that I'm gonna be bestowing upon y'all in a later video. So now, as you can see, I got the hair trimmers out and I'm just cleaning up the area that I just cut. This is very important as well. You don't really wanna always do these steps at the end of the haircut. You want to do these steps as you go so that it'll make the process that much smoother, because it might be certain steps in the haircut that you will forget because you could get caught up in conversation or whatever you're doing. So you want to just make sure you clean up the areas you're cutting as you go. Almost like when you're cooking. If you don't want to wash dishes later, you just want to wash them as you go. Same process. You in the kitchen right now. You cooking up. So treat it as such. Now, as you can see, I got the 2-guard on there and I'm just debulking the area, getting ready for my fade. And then I took the 2-guard off and now I have the customized wall magic clips with the gold blade open and I'm going up about an inch or a half an inch. It's all subjective to the hair. It's all subjective to the hair and the canvas that you cut. You don't really want to this is not a cookie cutter haircut technique. It's an actual strategy. It's an actual technique that is always being modified and audible because you never know what the hair in front of you might throw at you. So now we're going to do that same process on the right side of the hair. Just go all the way around the hair, all the way around the head, I should say, and keep the same motion with the wrist. And that only comes with practice. All these techniques I'm telling you is one thing to listen to me. It's another thing to actually go out in the field and practice. So you watching these videos is only one step in the process of you becoming a great barber. Okay? You have to go out there and practice. Even if you practice on yourself, that's better than nothing. You have to practice because these steps that you're looking at is just not gonna just click in your head until you're actually doing them. Okay, so now we have the clipper and we're just cleaning up the line. We're just cleaning up the line. We're cleaning up as we go so that we don't have to do that much cleanup work at the end of the haircut because we've already done that in the process of the fade. So while you're doing it, you always want to make sure that you're being precise. And to be precise, you have to brush and comb the hair as you're cutting the hair. That's the only way to be precise. And use the corners of the blade. As you can see, I'm using the corners of the blade to get the lines out. That's what you want to do. And you want to play with the levers to get the lines out. Because if you don't, it's going to be dirty. The fade is going to be dirty, and that's not good. That's actually terrible. You want to always make sure that everything is neat, clean and precise, because this is somebody's hair we're talking about. This is the billboard of your work. This is your advertisement. So you always want to make sure that every haircut is on point. You always want to practice professionalism. That is the key. You always want to be professional. So now, as you can see, I have the zero guard on the blade. We're going up, taking it up about another 1/2 inch, and we're gonna repeat the process of the fade. So when you cutting hair, it's very tedious, as you can see, which is why I always stress you have to stay focused, because out of all the haircuts you've seen, I'm doing the same process over and over and over again. At a certain point, it becomes muscle memory. And when it does, it gets to a point to where you think that you don't have to stay focused and you can do other things, and that's where the mistakes come in. You always want to stay 100% focused on what's in front of you so that everything turns out the way that the client wants it to and how they expressed it to you. Because if you just start to take everything for granted once you get to a certain level, that's where you leave room for error. And in this business, you have no room for error, because when you cut the hair off, there's nowhere to glue it back on. There's nowhere to put the hair back on. That's why you always want to stay focused on what you're doing so that these mistakes don't occur. So as you can see, I've been cleaning up as I go, and I'm doing the same thing all the way around the head. Now I'm at the top of the fade, and I have the 1.5 guard, and I'm actually just getting the line out, and you see that it's now faded in. Everything is faded pretty much, but even before the lineup, the haircut looks pretty decent. So now I'm gonna comb, and I'm gonna actually use my Oster Speedline clippers, and I'm gonna put the 2 on there, and I'm gonna actually clean up even more. Now you wanna cut with the grain, because when you cut against the grain at the top of the fade, that could actually take the fade up even higher. So to get the line out, you actually want to go with the grain and cut it to wavelength of hair. So now when you see the wavelength of hair is being cut, it actually blends into the bottom of the fade, and it makes the transition really smooth. So now, as you can see, we're getting ready for the lineup, and I'm gonna freehand the top of the hair to make it that much more neat. So when I do actually line the hair up, everything flows very smoothly and there's no stragglies left along around the edges of the haircut. This is very essential when doing a ball fade, because if there are any hairs sticking up, then that just throws off the contrast of the fade all the way to the occipital bone where there's no hair. So this is a very crucial part of the haircut. And when you're freehanding, this is when you really want to stay focused, because there's no guard on the clipper and you could easily mess up. So that's why I always stress you have to stay focused on every part of the haircut, especially when you freehand and the clipper's all the way closed. So now you see we're lining the hair up and actually finishing off the haircut. So you want to keep the comb in your hand. Make sure that the client is very still. Make sure you're calm so that you don't mess this lineup up. Because as I told you in other videos previous times, this is the part that can make or break your haircut. Literally, you don't even have to have a strong, decent fade if your lineup is 100% on point. So this part right here is the bread and butter of what's going to put money in your pockets, which is why I always stress, do not use the paint on the hairline, comb the hairline, and make sure your clippers are precise so that you can actually give them the straightest hairline possible so that you can get paid. This is what we do it for. We do it to instill confidence in our clients and also put money in our pockets. So this part of the haircut is really what's going to put the money in your pocket. So always stay focused on this portion of the haircut, especially. Every part of the haircut is important. This one right here, this is what's going to get you your money. I'm telling you, especially for all the beginners out there. When your haircut and your fade is not quite up to par because you're just learning, make sure you stress the lineup. You can go to my previous videos and I'll show you how to do a proper lineup without any paint, without any hair fibers, without having to hide any of the imperfections. I'm telling you, once you do this, it will actually make your income skyrocket. Okay, so now you can see we're gonna just line up the vertical bars, and you don't even have to dig into the hairline because, like I said, you don't want to push the hairline back. You just want to comb the hair and notice where the natural hairline actually lays, and then you want to cut the hairs that lay over the natural hairline. You don't want to make a new hairline. You want to just make sure that the natural hairline is being measured up, and you want to actually make sure that you're not pushing it back, because if you push it back in a few days, the client's going to notice because the hair's going to start to grow in again, and that could be the make or break point of your client actually returning to your chair. So now you're seeing that I'm just did the cleanup work on the fade, and I'm actually going to line up the right side of the hair. And when you do the C cups, the same thing. You want to just comb and you want to line it up to the natural hairline. You don't want to take it back. Now I'm doing the C cups on the left side of the head. You know, in the same process, comb the hair and just line the hair up to the natural hairline so that the illusion of the haircut is very neat and precise and it looks perfect. So that's been this haircut video. You know, I'm pretty sure if you paid attention throughout the whole session, you actually learned something new and you can add it to your repertoire. You see the fade is clean because throughout the whole process, I cleaned up as I went. I didn't wait to the end and forget my steps and forget where I had the lever on the clipper placed. I did it as I went. That's another nugget of information. Always clean up the haircut as you go. You don't want to wait to the end to do all the cleanup, because then that just adds more time to the haircut. And if you have people waiting on you, it's bad for business. You want to stay timely and you want to stay professional. Get people in your chair, get them out your chair, and have them all satisfied so that they return in a few weeks. Now, as you can see, I'm just cleaning up the top of the hair again. You know, the rest of the stragglers on the hair to have the whole haircut come together, and it is pleasing for the eye to see, and there's no imperfections throwing you off. This part, like I said, is very important because you don't have a guard on the clipper. So always stay focused, always stay professional, be precise, and your haircuts will come out perfect. So this has been another installment of The Fader, giving y'all great haircuts to learn from. I'll catch y'all later. Holla.